The first SmackDown of 2024 kicked off in a major way, with lots of story advancements, teasers, and big foreshadowing moments. So we'll see what's new with Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, Damage Control, and more. Starting things off with Damage Control. It was surprisingly a laid-back week for the faction on SmackDown. WWE Women's Champion Iyo Sky had a title defense against Mia Yim. Damage Control all came out with Iyo for her entrance, but then they all went backstage once the entrance was complete, and Iyo Sky put on an amazing performance and picked up the clean, impressive title defense victory with not a single ounce of outside interference from Damage Control. So that was a pretty impressive statement made by the champion that she doesn't need her group's help in order to successfully defend her title. And backstage after the match, Damage Control once again spoke about the big plan that they've been discussing for several weeks now. And that's the idea of every single Damage Control member holding a piece of WWE gold. And that line that Bayley keeps throwing out there is that the Kabuki Warriors will win the tag team titles, while Bayley will win the Royal Rumble and dethrone Rhea Ripley as the WWE Women's World Champion. Although it does sound like an impressive plan, and it literally would put Damage Control down in the history books in their own atmosphere if they're able to capture all of the women's titles. It just seems a bit unlikely for all of that to happen, as Bayley says. Like, maybe Asuka and Kairi Sane do capture the women's tag team titles, but it's probably Bayley who doesn't achieve her goal of dethroning Rhea Ripley. And like they showed us on the first SmackDown of the year, Bianca Belair has not forgotten about Iyo Sky and Damage Control at all. Bianca declared for the 2024 Royal Rumble match, which is a match she has already won before, so she knows what it takes. And she wants to win it again in order to book her date with Iyo Sky at WrestleMania 40. Iyo and Damage Control yanked that title away from Bianca Belair at SummerSlam, after Bianca had only been champion for a few seconds. So Bianca Belair does have a good story and motive to come after the WWE Women's title. And Bianca does have a WrestleMania undefeated streak going as well. So she will be quite the big threat to Iyo Sky if they do meet at WrestleMania. Another interesting thing not to fall asleep on is Dakota Kai's ring status. Dakota Kai has turned into this main brains and strategist for Damage Control in recent months, since she can't take part in anything physical due to her torn ACL recovery. But Dakota Kai's ACL injury took place back in mid-May, and right around mid-February will make 9 months since that injury took place. ACL recovery time frame is of course different for everyone, but the average recovery time is right around that 9-month window. So it's most definitely possible that Dakota Kai could come fully cleared for physical contact by late February, early March. So you gotta wonder if there's a twist that could be coming once Dakota Kai is cleared to compete. Will she have a big moment of revealing her physical clearance by attacking Bayley or executing another big plan? Like we discussed a few weeks back, Bayley herself was labeling Dakota Kai as the mastermind of the group. So does Dakota Kai have some big plan in mind for the second she gets cleared? Like, even when Bayley is going over the championship's takeover, if they all accomplish what they say they're gonna do, that means Dakota Kai would be the only member of the group without a title. So even though she's sort of in the background right now since she's not cleared, it definitely seems like a big twist could be coming to the entire story once Dakota Kai can step foot in the ring again. So there's a lot to watch out for Damage Control's story. Will they kick out Bayley? Will Bianca dethrone Iyo Sky? Does Dakota Kai have that big master plan in place? So much to be on high alert for there with that story. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits came out for a promo on the January 5th edition of SmackDown, and it was a segment that gave us some answers, but also created more questions. Lashley said that 2023 was a pretty shaky year for his WWE career, and how in 2024, he wants to get back to the days of being the almighty Bobby Lashley that we saw just a few short years ago as WWE Champion, and he wants to bring the Street Profits along for that ride as well. And it also appears that the faction has now once again turned babyface. This is something that fans have a lot of questions on, because the group initially started off as babyfaces, but they had this long build-up to this breaking point and heel turn. And now it seems like only a few weeks after turning heel, they're back to being babyfaces. So the constant flipping of sides is something that the fans have scratching their heads trying to figure out what exactly the group is. But it appears that they're on the official babyface side for now. The other big question raised here is obviously B Fab. They introduced that the group is talking to B Fab for several weeks in a row, but now B Fab hasn't been spotted around the group or mentioned at all by the group, causing fans to assume that possibly the whole angle of B Fab joining the faction must have been dropped if they're not going to provide any more follow-up to the situation. But it appears that Bobby Lashley's faction will be feuding with Karrion Kross's new faction to kick off the new year. It looks like that story could lead to a massive 6-man tag between Kross and AOP versus Lashley and the Profits. And it'll be an interesting feud for sure, because both factions desperately need a win. Things have been a bit shaky for Lashley and the Profits in recent weeks, and Kross's faction is literally brand new and just debuting. So neither faction can really afford a loss right now, so it'll be interesting to see how that's handled. The January 5th edition of SmackDown also featured Roman Reigns' response to The Rock's callout. The second Roman arrived on SmackDown, Kayla Braxton was right at the car, just waiting to ask him about The Rock's comments. Roman Reigns just laughed and walked away, while Paul Heyman also refused to give a response. But later in the show, Paul Heyman did give a response to The Rock, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. Heyman said that they heard what The Rock said, but that The Rock would never get an invite to the island of relevancy. Heyman also touched on Cody Rhodes, saying that Roman Reigns already defeated Cody Rhodes, so they don't understand why Cody is continuing to talk about finishing the story. Heyman did give credit to CM Punk for being the original Paul Heyman guy, but that there simply isn't anyone on the face of the planet that can defeat Roman Reigns. And later on in the main event, we see Roman Reigns and the Bloodline sabotage the #1 contenders triple threat match, so that Roman doesn't have a clear opponent for Royal Rumble. But Nick Aldis was one step ahead and said that because of Roman's actions, instead of facing one opponent, he'll now face all 3 of those opponents in a fatal 4-way match at Royal Rumble. And Roman shouldn't lose the title during this match, but still, at least on paper, it does look like the biggest threat to his title reign in quite some time. A majority of Roman's title defenses and singles matches are usually a breeze because the Bloodline would just interfere to help him. But we haven't seen Roman defend his title in a match this big before. We've seen him defend in a triple threat back at WrestleMania 37, but now it'll be a fatal 4-way for the title at Royal Rumble against Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles. So in order to cheat and really find a way to escape this match as champion, Roman Reigns is going to need a very elaborate plan for the Royal Rumble. It's going to be one of the biggest challenges to date, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets himself out of this hole that he created. We can also assume that this action will also cause Nick Aldis' relationship with Roman Reigns to go in opposite ways, because Nick isn't going to back down at all from Roman. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.